My name is Rebecca and I am 56 years old, and what I'm about to tell you happened last Christmas when my son Jason and his wife Amber uninvited me from the family holiday celebration after I had already paid $15,000 for everything. But that was not even the most shocking part. The most shocking part was when I discovered they were celebrating at a luxury beach house that they thought they had rented but was actually mine, a $2 million property I owned. And when I showed up on Christmas morning, the look on Amber's face was something I will never forget. Let me start from the beginning, so you understand how a mother's love can be tested, how betrayal can come from the people you trust most, and how sometimes karma arrives, wrapped in a bow on Christmas morning. I grew up in a working class family in the Midwest. My father was a factory worker, and my mother was a seamstress. We did not have much money, but my parents taught me the value of hard work, education, and building. Something for yourself. They always said, Rebecca, if you want security in life, you need to create it yourself. Nobody's going to hand it to you. I took that lesson to heart. I studied hard in school, got a scholarship to a state university, and majored in business administration. During college, I worked 3 jobs: waitressing, tutoring, and doing data entry. I graduated with honors, and more importantly, with 0 student debt, because I had saved and worked for every penny. At 23, I got my real estate license and started working for a small agency selling homes. I was good at it, really good. I understood what people wanted. I could walk into a house and see its potential, and I was not afraid to work 80-hour weeks to close deals. The time I was 25, I had saved enough money to buy my first investment property, a small duplex that needed work. I lived in one unit and rented out the other, using that rental income to cover my mortgage. It was my first step toward financial independence. That same year, I met Thomas at an open house. He was handsome, charming, funny, and he worked as an accountant. We dated for a year and got married when I was 26. I thought I had found my partner for life, someone who shared my values and dreams. We had Jason when I was 27, and I was determined to be both a good mother and continue building my career. I worked during the day while Thomas watched Jason, and then I would come home and take over while Thomas did his accounting. Work from home. We were a team also, I thought. When Jason was 3, I bought my second investment property, a small beach cottage that I fixed up and started renting out as a vacation property. It brought in good money, and I was proud of what I was building. But Thomas was not proud. He started making comments about how I was always working, how I cared more about properties than family, how I was becoming obsessed with money. I tried to explain that I was building security for our family, for Jason's future, but Thomas did not want to hear it. When Jason was 5, Thomas asked for a divorce. He said he had met someone else, someone who had time for him, someone who was not always thinking about the next investment, the next property, the next deal. I was devastated, but I was also angry because I had been working so hard for us, for our family. The divorce was messy. Thomas wanted half of everything, including my investment properties. I had to fight hard to keep what I had built, and in the end we split our assets 50-50, but I kept my 2 rental properties because they were in my name alone before we married. Thomas got remarried quickly to a woman named Susan, who was a stay-at-home mom. The kind of traditional wife he apparently always wanted. Jason lived with me primarily, but spent weekends with Thomas and Susan. After the divorce, I threw myself even deeper into my work. I bought more properties, fixed them up, rented them out, reinvested the profits. By the time Jason was 10, I owned 6 properties. By the time he was 15, I owned 12. By the time he was 20, I owned 15 properties worth a combined total of over $8 million. But here is the thing. I never told Jason about my wealth. I never told anyone I drove a 10-year-old Honda, lived in a modest 3-bedroom house, and dressed casually in clothes from discount stores. I did not want Jason to grow up entitled, I did not want people to treat me differently, and I definitely did not want Thomas to come back asking for more money. Jason grew up thinking I was comfortable but not wealthy. He thought I worked as a real estate agent selling houses, which was partially true. I did still sell houses, but my real income came from my rental properties, which generated about $40,000 a month in passive income. Jason was a good kid, smart kind, athletic. He did well in school, played soccer, had good friends. I tried to be involved in his life, but I also worked a lot, probably too much. I wanted to give him everything. Opportunities, experiences, a good education, but I also wanted him to learn the value of hard work. When Jason was 18, he went to college to study engineering. I was so proud of him. I paid for his tuition, his housing, his books, everything. He did not have to work during college. He could just focus on his studies, and I was happy to provide that for him. During his junior year, Jason met Amber at a campus party. According to Jason, she was beautiful, smart, ambitious, studying marketing, and came from a good family. Jason was smitten completely head over heels. The first time Jason brought Amber home to meet me, I tried my best to make a good impression. I cooked a nice dinner, cleaned the house, wore a decent outfit. I wanted Jason's girlfriend to like. Amber walked in, and I immediately noticed something in the way she looked around my house, like she was evaluating everything. The furniture, the decorations, the size of the rooms. Her smile was polite, but her eyes were calculating. Throughout dinner, Amber talked a lot about herself, about her internship at a marketing agency, about her sorority, about her family's lake house in Wisconsin. She asked me polite questions about my work, and I told her I was in real estate. She seemed to relax a bit after that, probably assuming I made decent money. After dinner, Jason and Amber left to go to a movie, and I sat alone in my living room with a strange feeling in my gut. Something about Amber made me uncomfortable, but I could not put my finger on what it was. I told myself I was being paranoid, that I was judging her too harshly, that Jason was happy and that was all that mattered. Over the next 2 years, as Jason finished college and started his career as an engineer, Amber became a more permanent fixture in our lives. They moved in together after graduation. Both got good jobs and seemed to be building a life together. Amber was always polite to me, always pleasant, but there was something superficial about our interactions. She never wanted to have real conversations, never asked about my life, never seemed genuinely interested in getting to know me. Everything was surface level, small talk about weather, work plans. I noticed that Amber was very focused on appearances, on having the right clothes, the right car, the right apartment. She posted constantly on social media, showing off her lifestyle, her brunches, her shopping trips, her perfect relationship with Jason. Jason seemed happy, though, so I kept my concerns to myself. I did not want to be that mother, the one who interferes, the one who criticizes, the one who drives her son away. So I smiled and played along. 2 years ago, Jason called me with exciting news. Mom, Amber and I are engaged, he said, his voice full of joy. I felt a mix of emotions, happiness that Jason had found someone, fear that this woman was not right for him, guilt that I was even having these doubts. Congratulations, honey, I said, trying to sound genuinely happy. Tell me about the proposal. Jason told me that he had proposed at a fancy restaurant with a ring that cost him $8,000. I was shocked at the price, but I did not say anything. Jason had a good job as an engineer, making about $90,000 a year, so I guess he could afford it. Over the next year, as Jason and Amber planned their wedding, I offered to help with costs. I knew weddings were expensive, and I wanted to contribute, Mom. You do not have to do that, Jason said, but I could hear the relief in his voice. I want to, I said. How much do you need? Jason hesitated, then said, Amber's parents are paying for most of it, but if you could help with $5,000, that would be amazing. Of course, I said, and I wrote them a check. The next week, the wedding was beautiful, elaborate, expensive. Amber wore a designer dress. The venue was at a luxury hotel. There were 200 guests. It must have cost at least $60,000. Total during the reception, Amber's mother, Patricia, made a speech thanking everyone who had contributed to making the day special. She thanked her husband, she thanked the wedding planner, she thanked the florist, but she never mentioned me, never acknowledged my contribution. I sat at my table feeling invisible. After the wedding, Jason and Amber moved into a nice 2-bedroom condo in an upscale neighborhood. They filled it with expensive furniture, designer decorations. The latest electronics. Amber posted photos of everything on Instagram with captions like "building our dream life" and "blessed beyond measure." I visited them a few times, but each visit felt more awkward than the last. Amber would give me tours of their home, pointing out how much everything cost. This couch was $4,000. This art piece was from a gallery. This rug was imported from Turkey. It felt like she was constantly trying to impress me or maybe prove something. Jason would get uncomfortable during these tours. "Mom, you do not need to see everything," he would say, but Amber would insist, "I want your mom to see how well we are doing," she would say with that smile that never reached her eyes. About 6 months after the wedding, I started noticing that Jason was visiting me less frequently. Our weekly dinners became monthly, then every other month when I asked him why, he said, "Mom, I'm building my own life. Now Amber and I are busy with work and friends, you understand, right?" I understood, but it still hurt. Then last year, in early November, Jason called me with what he said was a big idea. "Mom, Amber and I want to host a big family Christmas this year, both of our families together at a nice venue. We want to make it really special." "That sounds wonderful," I said, genuinely excited at the idea of spending Christmas with Jason. "The thing is," Jason continued, "it is going to be expensive to rent a venue and cater food for everyone, and buy gifts. We were thinking maybe you could help with the costs since you do not have to spend money on anyone else. How much would you need?" I asked. Jason was quiet for a moment, then said, "Maybe $15,000. I know it is a lot, but it would cover everything: the venue, the food, the decorations, gifts for everyone. It would be an amazing Christmas that everyone would remember." $15,000 was a significant amount, but it was for Christmas with my son. So I agreed without hesitation. "Really?" Jason said, sounding relieved. "Thank you so much, Mom. You are the best. Amber is going to be so excited." A week later, Amber called me Rebecca. "Thank you so much for agreeing to fund our Christmas celebration." She said, "I have already started planning everything. It is going to be absolutely perfect. I am happy to help." I said, "Just let me know what you need from me." Actually, Amber said, "I was thinking maybe you could just transfer the money to us now so we can start booking everything." I hesitated. Something felt off about handing over $15,000 without any details. But I did not want to seem like I did not trust them. "Sure," I said, "I can transfer it this week." "Thank you, Rebecca. Amber said you are going to love what we have planned." I transferred the $15,000 the next day, and then I waited for updates about the Christmas plans. November passed, and I heard nothing from Jason or Amber about Christmas. I texted Jason asking about details, and he sent short responses. "Amber is handling everything. Do not worry. It is going to be great." December arrived, and still no details. I called Jason. "Honey," I said, "can you tell me where this Christmas celebration is going to be? I need to know so I can plan." Jason sounded stressed. "Mom, I will send you the details soon. Amber has everything organized. Just trust us, okay?" "Okay," I said, but I was starting to feel uneasy. On December 10th, just 2 weeks before Christmas, Amber called me Rebecca. She said her voice had a strange tone. "We need to talk about Christmas." "Okay." I said, "What about it?" "Well, Amber said Jason and I've been discussing it, and we have decided that we want to make Christmas more intimate this year. Just immediate family." "I am immediate family," I said, confused. "I am Jason's mother." Amber was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Rebecca, I am going to be honest with you. Jason's real family is me. and my parents and his father and Susan. We want Christmas to be special and comfortable, and having you there would just be awkward. Having me there would be awkward. I repeated I could not believe what I was hearing. Yes, Amber said. And honestly, Rebecca, you do not really fit in with the rest of us. We are all going to be at this beautiful venue wearing nice clothes, taking photos for our family album, and you dress very casually, and you are not really part of our social circle. I felt like I had been slapped across the face. So you are uninviting me from Christmas, I said, my voice shaking after I paid $15,000 for everything. About that, Amber said we are still going to need that money because we have already booked everything. But yes, we think it is better if you do not come. Maybe you can spend Christmas with your sisters or friends, or something. I was so shocked I could not even respond. Rebecca, are you there? Amber asked. I am here, I said. So we are good. Then Amber said, great. I will tell Jason. You understand. Thanks again for the money, Rebecca. It is going to be an amazing Christmas. She hung up before I could say anything else. I sat in my living room staring at my phone, trying to process what had just happened. My son and his wife had taken my money, uninvited me from Christmas, and acted like it was completely reasonable. I called. Jason immediately it went to voicemail. I called again. Voicemail, I sent him a text. Jason did. Amber really just uninvited me from Christmas. An hour later, Jason texted back, Mom, I am sorry, but Amber is right. It is going to be better this way. We want Christmas to be perfect and intimate, just close family. I am your mother, I texted back. I am your close family. Jason did not respond. For the next few days, I was in shock. I could not eat, could not sleep. I kept replaying Amber's words in my head. You do not really fit in with the rest of us. You dress very casually. You are not part of our social circle. I had raised Jason by myself. I had worked multiple jobs to give him a good life. I had paid for his education. I had given him $15,000 for Christmas, and this was how he repaid me. I called my sister Linda and told her everything. That is absolutely horrible. Linda said, you need to get your money back. I do not even care about the money anymore. I said, I just cannot believe Jason would let this happen. Linda was quiet. Then she said, Becky, do you think Jason even knows how cruel this is? Maybe Amber is manipulating him. Maybe I said, but he is still going along with it. What are you going to do? Linda asked. I do not know, I said. On December 18th. A week before Christmas, I was scrolling through Instagram when I saw a post from Amber. It was a photo of a stunning beach house with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the ocean. The caption read, Christmas at the beach with my favorite people, so blessed and grateful. I stared at the photo. Something about that house looked familiar. Really familiar. I zoomed in on the photo and my heart started racing. I recognized that view. I recognized those windows. I recognized the deck. That was my house. My $2 million beach house in South Carolina, the one I had bought 15 years ago, is an investment property. The one I rented out through a property management company. I opened my laptop and logged into the property management portal. I found the booking calendar for that house, and there it was. December 23rd through December 27th. Jason Parker booking for 8 people, rental fee $10,000. They had rented my house with my money and did not even know it was mine. I sat back in my chair and a slow smile spread across my face. Karma had just handed me the perfect Christmas gift. I called my property manager, a wonderful woman named Diane, who had been managing my rentals for years. I said, I need to ask you about a booking for the South Carolina beach house, December 23rd through 27th. Yes, Diane said, Jason Parker, lovely young man. He called last week to confirm everything. He is bringing his family for Christmas. Need you to do me a favor. I said, I'm coming to that house for Christmas too. But Rebecca, Diane said the house is rented. You cannot just, I own the house. Diane, I said I can go there whenever I want. I will stay in the separate guest suite, the one That is not part of the rental. The renters will never even know. I am there until I am ready. Rebecca, what are you planning? Diane asked, sounding worried. I am planning to spend Christmas at my own house, I said, and to teach some people a very important lesson about respect. Diane was quiet. Then she said, okay, but please do not do anything that will get me in trouble. You will not get in trouble. I promised. I just need you to let me in through the back entrance and keep this between us. Diane agreed, and I started planning my Christmas surprise. On December 23rd, I packed a bag and drove 6 hours to my beach house in South Carolina. I had not been there in over a year because I let the property management company handle everything. I had designed every detail of that house. I knew every room, every closet, every secret entrance. I arrived at 9 p.m. and used my key to enter through the back door that led to the separate guest suite, a small apartment with its own bedroom, bathroom, and kitchenette that I had built for times when I wanted to check on the property without disturbing renters. The main house was dark. Everyone must have already gone to bed. I quietly settled into the guest suite, which had a connecting door to the main house that I kept locked. I could hear voices in the morning, laughter, the sounds of coffee being made. I stayed in my suite, waiting for the right moment. Through the door, I heard Amber's voice. This place is absolutely perfect. I am so glad we found. It is worth every penny. Another voice. Probably Amber's mother, Patricia, said, Amber, you and Jason have done so well for yourselves being able to afford a place like this. Well, Amber said, we did have some help. Jason's mother gave us the money for Christmas, but we decided to use it for something actually nice, instead of that tacky venue she probably would have picked. They all laughed. Jason's voice said, I feel a little bad about uninviting her, though. Oh, please. Amber said, your mother does not fit in with us, Jason. She wears clothes from Walmart. She drives a beat-up Honda. She works as a real estate agent. She is fine, Jason, but she is not our class. We need to surround ourselves with people who are on our level. Jason's father, Thomas, spoke up. I have been trying to tell Jason for years that his mother is too focused on work, that she is not relationship material. I am glad you see it too. Amber, I sat in my guest suite, listening to every word, feeling anger build up inside me, but also feeling strangely calm because I knew what was about to happen. Christmas morning arrived. I woke up early, showered, and put on my nicest outfit, a designer suit I had bought years ago but never wore. I did my hair and makeup. I looked at myself in the mirror and I barely recognized myself. I looked expensive, powerful, nothing like the casual version of myself they were used to seeing. At 10 a.m., I heard everyone gathering in the main living room, exchanging gifts, laughing, taking photos. I could see them through the window. 8 people, Jason, Amber, Amber's parents, Jason's father, Thomas, and his wife, Susan, and 2 of Amber's friends. I took a deep breath, opened the connecting door, and walked into my living room. Everyone froze when they saw me. Mom, Jason said, his face going pale. What are you doing here? I smiled. Live here, I said. What? Amber stood up. You do not live here. We rented this house. Actually, Amber, I said, I own this house. I have owned it for 15 years. You are lying, Amber said, her voice rising. We paid $10,000 to rent this place. You paid $10,000 of my money to rent my house, I said, and frankly, you overpaid. The rental rate is normally $8,000, but I guess my property manager saw you coming. Jason's face had gone completely white. Mom, is this true? Yes, Jason said, this is one of 15 properties I own. I am a real estate investor. I am worth about $8 million. I never told you because I wanted you to grow up with values, to understand the importance of hard work. But clearly, I failed in that. Department Amber's mother, Patricia, spoke up. If you are so wealthy, why do you dress like that? Why do you drive that old car? Because money does not define me. I said I worked hard for everything I have and I do not need to show it off to feel valuable. Unlike some people, Amber was shaking. You crashed our Christmas. You are insane. I crashed my own house, I said. And technically, Amber, you are the one who is trespassing, because this rental agreement is in Jason's name, and I am revoking it right now. You cannot do that. Amber screamed, I can and I am. I said, I want all of you out of my house in 1 hour. Take your gifts, take your expensive champagne, take your designer luggage, and get out Jason's. Father Thomas stood up now. Wait a minute. Rebecca, let us talk about this. Thomas, I said, the time to talk was when you and your wife decided I was not good enough to spend Christmas with my own son. The time to talk was when Amber told me I did not fit in with your social circle. The time to talk was when you all sat here this morning mocking me in my own house. That time has passed. Now you have 59 minutes to leave before I call the police. But where will we go? Amber's friend asked it. It's Christmas Day. Everything is booked. That is not my problem. I said you should have thought about that before you uninvited the person who owns the house. I turned to Jason. Jason, you have a choice. You can leave with them, or you can stay here and we can talk. But if you leave, you need to understand that our relationship will never be the same. Mom, Jason said, tears in his eyes. I did not know. You did not know I owned the house. I said, but you did know that Amber uninvited me. You did know that she called me an embarrassment. You did know that they were all mocking me and you said nothing. You chose her over me. You chose their cruelty over your own mother. I am sorry, Jason whispered. Sorry is not enough, I said. Amber grabbed Jason's arm. Come on, Jason, we are leaving. We do not need this. We do not need. Her Jason looked between Amber and me, and I saw the moment he made his choice. He walked toward Amber. I felt my heart break, but I kept my face neutral. Fine, I said, then all of you need to leave. Now they gathered their things in chaos. Amber was crying. Amber's parents were whispering angrily. Jason's father was trying to call hotels. Susan was just staring at me in shock as they walked out the door. Amber turned back to me. You are a horrible person, Rebecca. No, Amber, I said. I am a person who knows her worth, and I will not accept disrespect from anyone, especially not from people who took my money and then mocked me in my own house. They left, and the house fell silent. I sat down on my couch in my $2 million beach house on Christmas morning, completely alone, and I cried. But I also felt something else. I felt proud that I had stood up for myself, proud that I had drawn a boundary, proud that I had not let them get away with their cruelty. Over the next few days, I stayed at the beach, house alone. I walked on the beach, I read books, I cooked simple meals. I spent Christmas in peace in my own home. Jason texted me multiple times. Mom, I am so sorry. Can we please talk? I did not respond. I was not ready. A week later, I drove back home to my regular house and tried to return to normal life, but nothing felt normal. Jason kept calling, kept texting. I am sorry. Mom, please. Give me another chance. Amber and I are having problems. I need to talk to you. Finally, after 2 weeks, I agreed to meet him for coffee. We sat across from each other at a small cafe, and Jason looked terrible dark circles under his eyes, unshaven, exhausted mom. He said, I am so sorry. I do not even know where to start. Start with why? I said, why did you let Amber treat me that way? Why did you uninvite your own mother from Christmas? Jason put his head in his hands. I got caught up in Amber's world. He said in her family, in what they thought was important. I started to see you through their eyes as someone who did not fit in instead of seeing you as my mom, who sacrificed everything for me. That hurt Jason. I said more than you can possibly understand. I know, Jason said, and I hate myself for it. Where is Amber now? I asked. We are separated. Jason said, after we left your beach house, we had a huge fight. She said, I should cut you out of my life completely, that you were toxic and manipulative, and I realized in that moment that she was the toxic one, not you. I moved out. I am staying with a friend. I am sorry to hear. That I said, even though I was not really sorry. Mom, Jason said, can you ever forgive me? I do not know Jason. I said, honestly, I love you. You are my son. But you really hurt me. And it is going to take time for me to trust you again. I understand, Jason. Said, whatever it takes, Mom, I will do it. I will go to therapy. I will work on myself. I will prove to you that I am not the person I was. On Christmas, over the next several months, Jason did exactly what he promised. He started therapy. He filed for divorce from Amber. He started visiting me regularly, not asking for anything, just wanting to spend time together. He told me that Amber had been furious when she found out about the divorce. She had called him weak. She had said he was choosing his broke mother over his successful wife. She clearly still did not understand that I was not broke. It took Jason 6 months to finalize the divorce. And during that time, he changed. He became more thoughtful, more humble, more like the son I had raised. One day he came over and said, Mom, I need to tell you something. What I asked, I told Amber the truth. I said about how wealthy you really are, about all your properties. What did she say? I asked. Jason laughed. She did not believe me at first, but then I showed her proof and Mom her face. She looked like she was going to be sick. She realized what she had given up, what she had walked away from. Money should not matter, I said. I know Jason said, and that is the point. Amber only cared about money and status, and she could not see that you had both all along because you did not flaunt it. You are the most successful person. I know, Mom, and I am ashamed it took me so long to appreciate that we are going to be okay. Jason? I said, but it is going to take time. No, Jason said, and I am willing to put in that time. Today, a year after that Christmas disaster, Jason and I have rebuilt our relationship. He comes over every Sunday for dinner. He asks about my properties, about my work, about my life. He treats me with the respect I always deserved. As for Amber, I heard through mutual friends that she is still bitter, still angry. She tells people that I ruined her marriage, that I am a manipulative witch who could not stand to see her son happy. Let her believe what she wants. I know the truth. The truth is that I worked hard for 46 years. I built an $8 million real estate portfolio. I raised a good son by myself. I survived a divorce. I survived being excluded and mocked and disrespected. And I came out stronger. That Christmas morning when I walked into my own beach house and saw their shocked faces was one of the most satisfying moments of my life. Not because I wanted revenge, but because I finally stood up for myself. I finally drew a boundary. I finally said enough. If you are watching this story, I want you to understand something you do not have to accept. Disrespect from anyone, not from your children, not from their partners, not from anyone. You are allowed to set boundaries. You are allowed to walk away from people who treat you poorly. You are allowed to stand up for yourself, even when it costs you relationships. I lost my son for a while, but I kept my dignity. And in the end, that was more important, because dignity is something nobody can take from you unless you give it away. I am Rebecca. I am 46 years old. I own 15 properties worth $8 million. I spent Christmas alone in my beach house last year, and it was one of the best Christmases of my life because I was finally at peace with who I am. To the mothers watching who have been excluded from family celebrations, who have been called not good enough, who have been treated like they do not matter, know that you do matter. Your worth is not determined by whether you fit into someone else's social circle. Your worth is inherent. Stand up, set boundaries, demand respect. And if people walk away from you because of it, then they were not meant to be in your life. Anyway, that is my story. That is my truth, and I hope it helps someone out there find the courage to stand up for themselves too. Thank you for listening.